Were you watching those brackets with bated breath, or did you kind of have a feeling that it was going to be tough for you?
Well, we were watching with bated breath. Yes, we were hoping, and unfortunately, it didn't. We didn't get into the NCAA tournament. But the good news is we get an opportunity to continue playing in the WBIT. So we're excited about that and looking forward to it.
Are you disappointed that you can't host, or that some solution wasn't kind of arrived at to get you somewhere here on campus?
It makes it challenging, certainly. I think last year when we were in the postseason, the WNIT, and we had to go on the road for that stretch of whatever that was, 3-4 games in a row. That was really, really hard, and we stayed on the road. But I thought it really helped us this year. It helped us with getting better at doing some of those things and being in more adverse situations. So I think the positive to it is, I guess we've done it in the past, and so we go back on the road now. And we play at Toledo, who draws really, really well. Their crowd is incredible, very good program. So we get an opportunity to play in I think an environment that's going to be a lot of fun for our young ladies.
Did you guys even look at maybe the pavilion?
Well, from what I understand, the boys state tournament takes up the entire facility and all the usage of those type of things. So I know that our administration looked at other places, and I guess nothing really worked out.
Would Sunday be a possibility, or is that decision been made?
Yeah, it will not be a possibility.
But third round, is that still, if you were to get there?
Right. Yes. But you got a lot of work to do, and at that, yeah, they got a lot of work to do. We got right now we have one opportunity to play, and that's at Toledo.
When you are given a very short period of time to get ready for an opponent you really don't know anything
Right.
about, what is the process? Do you try to make phone calls to people who you know who may have played them, or is it all just you watching tape? I mean, can you talk about how you kind of prepare yourself to get ready for a team you don't really know?
Well, it's really funny because I was thinking about this last night when I was driving home about like how it's changed. Where 25 years ago or so, you could there were a few games that were on TV and you had to set your satellites, and then you had to record it and put it on your VHS tape, and then you had to go back through your assortment of all the tapes that you had to see if you had that team. And now every game is uploaded, it's online, and it's broken down in some way, just about any way you can possibly imagine that you'd want to have it broken down. And so the advantage now is as soon as you know who you're playing, within a few minutes, you can download their games, and they can do the same for you, right? So I think for us, it's now a matter of watching and trying to understand our opponent to the best of our ability, and that takes a while to kind of get to that point. Not knowing exactly when you're going to play presents a challenge, which it does for a lot of teams that were in our situation in terms of not knowing what days you're playing and those type of things and where you're going, and so we had really good practice. We had good practices in the past week and a half or 2 weeks, whatever it is, and then a really good practice yesterday. And so today gives us some time. Now we'll try to get to know our opponent to the best of our ability as a coaching staff, and then we've kind of been in a 2-day prep situation most of the season, and so we can kind of do that again. Now we still got to figure out how all the travel is going to take place and how all that's going to look, and that's still up in the work and still in the works at this point in time.
Um, Early kind of look at, I mean, they seem to be kind of a guard-driven, wing-driven team.
Well, I think they're really disciplined. I think they're really tough. I think they play really, really hard, and they've got a good blend. They shoot the ball well from the perimeter. They really attack you off the dribble, but they get into some handoffs and some ball screens and can post up a variety of different kids. And I think and then they fly to the offensive glass, and they're just really sound. I think they're a really sound program. I think Jenny's doing a great job in year one, in the program, and I was just the games that I've seen so far, the clips that I've watched, those type of things. I just think they play with a very high motor, very high IQ, very disciplined team. It means a lot to them. I think they play really hard, so it'll be fun for us.
In terms of program building, what did making the final last year do, and what can it do again?
Right, my So I grew up in the 90s, or I was in college in the 90s. I didn't grow up in the 90s, but I was in college in the 90s. And the first real concert I ever went to was MC Hammer. And MC Hammer has a song, nobody really knows the song, but the song is called Gaining Momentum. What we tried to explain last year, what's important for our program is that by playing in these postseason opportunities, you gain momentum. And we watched it last year. This year, we were a much better team than we were last year. And then we went through some adversity last year, and we couldn't really battle back from that in the same way that this year, unfortunately, we had adversity again. And this year we were better at battling back and playing with some resiliency. So I think that playing in the tournament last year helped us continue to develop. And that development was not only in skill, but in a resilience factor. And so hopefully this tournament does the same thing. Hopefully we continue to develop. I think the last week and a half or so that we've had in practice has been really good for us. We're not prepping for an opponent, and we just get to work on us, and that's been a lot of fun. I think our players are probably at the point where they're like, it's time to play against someone else again. So, they're at that stage. And so this is an opportunity now to keep doing that.
That's an achievement.
It is.
Final tournament. I don't care
Right.
what it is. Coming out of that, the confidence of something, even though we didn't win that game.
Right.
We were without Kamara again, and it seems like that really I think it was a big deal.
It was. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was. I agree. That was a lot of fun for us. And, right now and this is what we tried to explain to our teams, that you want to be on this path, and you want that path to be a nice, easy path. Well, it's not very realistic that it's a nice, easy path all the time, and ours hasn't been easy, and so now you dig in and you find a way, and we have an opportunity to keep doing something that's really not easy to do. There are 68 teams that play in the NCAA tournament, and then last year, for the first time, the NCAA sponsored the WBIT, like they have on the men's side and the NIT, and so there's 32 more teams that have an opportunity to play. So, of the 62 Division I women's basketball teams, something like 28% have an opportunity to play in one of these two tournaments. So we're making progress, and we have to continue to build, and we've got to continue to get better. And this allows us another opportunity to keep doing that, and that's exciting.
Clearly the schedule down the stretch was probably the most difficult
Right.
opponent-wise that you faced. Still, there were some losses there. When you had the chance to kind of sit back and know you were going to go somewhere tournament-wise, what did you see from a self-scout standpoint that you said, we really need to work on this in order to be our best when we start playing again?
Well, I think there are a couple things. I think, first of all, we've got to get to a spot where we're better defensively than we were during a major part of that stretch. And that was challenging, obviously. The Big Ten is just so challenging in a lot of ways, because even sometimes when you do a good job defending an action or a player, they score anyway. And so, but there's an awareness that we have to get better one-on-one, and then off the ball being more disruptive and helping and getting back to the next thing. And so I think that certainly is one of the key areas for us, being efficient on the offensive end. And that's what we've had time to work on us, and what does that exactly look like. And so those are probably two of the biggest areas for us.
How much has Grace Groholski grown this year? She kind of takes control.
I think her growth is kind of off the charts at this point in time, where, again, I think last year she was really comfortable as someone who could be a recipient a lot of times, where something was created and she could get a shot off, or she could be someone that, created in a way on the offensive glass, or created with the way she passed, where now we're putting the ball in her hands, and then last year when Mara got hurt, then it was like, okay, now you're taking the ball out of bounds, and now you got to break press and do those kind of things, rather than be the kid that we advance it to up the floor. Now you have to be a lot more involved, and then last year was a kid that when she had the ball, we weren't really looking to put her in some ball screen scenarios, because that wasn't a strength of hers yet, but we could post her up at different times, where now she's just continuing to grow and evolve, and that's on the offensive end, and defensively guarding different players as well. So I think she's on top of that. Then we're asking her to do more from a leadership standpoint and have more of a voice, and so that's asking an awful lot out of a young lady. But I think she's done a great job of, one, not only accepting that, but wanting that and continuing to flourish within that.
Are you in pretty good shape physically, other than Mara and Taylor?
Yeah, I think so. I think, knock on wood, yeah, we've been in a good spot, and I think we've been able to kind of do some things that during the season when you're in that stretch, and we were in a stretch of, I think it was 9, 10 games on shorter prep, than our opponents. So you're really trying to get in what you have to get in, but also not necessarily be in a spot where you don't have as much time to focus on some of the things you really want to because you've got to be as fresh as possible. And so this has been a good stretch for us because we can really work on us and work on a lot of those things rather than specific game prep. Now, again, I think they're going to be excited at specific game prep again to get back into that.
Was McKinney another kid who maybe is doing more for you than you anticipated?
For sure. I think Tori is someone who was someone who could come in and just kind of make things happen. And now we need her to make a lot of things happen all the time, and it's not only come in and stay in the game and stay out of foul trouble and all those kind of things. So I think her aggressiveness is off the charts. And so that's been something that's been really, really positive for us to see, very positive to see. Now slowing down, that's the next part.
And if I can ask that, your guard play, your point guard play, you've got 2 point guards, and it seems just watching you that sometimes it's really good, but sometimes it's not great. And I'm wondering, are you looking for more consistency there? Not, I don't mean to say not great, but maybe a little too much too soon, maybe quick. I don't know, but would you like to see more steady leadership from the point, or do you like what you see?
Well, I think you're always looking to get better, and you're evaluating how are we doing in terms of being efficient offensively, and what does that look like, and how do we have to do it? How can we be better? And some of that is in decision making, in terms of getting into what I call kind of like pickle little situations. You get into a tough spot. You're kind of in a crowd of people, and now you got to get it out of that crowd of people. You got to get it out of that pickle, and when you get it out of there, then all of a sudden the next player or two has really good opportunities, and so getting in those situations isn't an issue. Actually, that's okay, but then you got to get out of those situations. And those are some of the things that we've been able to now practice because we have more time to do that. Whether that's in the post, whether that's in guard penetrating somewhere along the line. So we've been able to practice some of those things, and that's important for us. That's important for us to, you need to attack, and then when you draw, you need to recognize when you attack. What do I have? I have a good opportunity one-on-one. I have an opportunity one-on-one, but it's maybe not a good opportunity. I have an opportunity to kick it right now, play simple basketball. I have an opportunity where I attack and I've drawn extra defenders, and now who's the next kid that's open? And then as a part of that too is not only the player that has their hands on the ball, but all the other players. What are you doing to make it easy to get the ball to you? And what does that movement kind of look like? So we've been able to kind of work on some of those type of things during this last stretch. Awesome. Thank you.
When do you